I-18 male moved out of my dad's house last month, the day I turned 18. I no longer live in the same town and instead moved in with 3 of my friends who are starting college next month. I'm about to start trade school. I'm working until trade school starts to afford rent and food. The 4 of us are splitting the cost between us. I did not take money from my dad. My dad's wife gave me this photo album the day I left, saying it was a growing up gift. This photo album contained photos of the pre-tween years since she and my dad married. I did not appreciate the gift, nor did I want it, which I told her to her face. She told me to take it and said I should have family photos when I moved out. Before I left, I threw the album into the trash. Here's the background to explain why I did this. When I was a tween, my mom died. She had an allergic reaction while we were out for a celebratory dinner for my dad, and she died on the way to the hospital. Mom was the glue that held us together. Dad and I were never very close before she died, but 6 weeks later, my dad had already met his wife, and they boxed up all my mom's things, clothes, jewelry, photos of her, her phone, keys, and anything that was just hers, and they brought it to the dump. I never got anything, and neither did any of her family. I was furious, and I will never forgive my dad for what he did. The very next day, he moved that woman in. They were married 4 months later. They had a small but still formal wedding. They dragged me to it and pretended everything was fine and normal. She even gave a speech about being so excited to have a son of her own and all the adventures we'll have together. When I was a tween, I got copies of a couple of photos of Mom from extended family and put them in my room. Dad's wife found the photos and she removed them, saying that I didn't need those and I'd bring everyone down having them in the house. I yelled at her, cursed at her, wished her dead, and erased. And my dad yelled at me for disrespecting his wife. I told him that day I wish he'd died instead of my mom. He told me he wished he'd let my grandparents take me after the fight they had about Mom's stuff going to the dump. I told him I wish he had. The pre-tween years of living with the 2 of them were hell. I'm so glad I'm gone. I have no respect for either of them. And I don't care that my dad lost someone too. He threw her away, and not just from him. After I settled into my apartment, Dad suddenly remembered my number for the first time in 3 years and called me out for upsetting and disrespecting his wife by throwing her gift away. He told me she did it out of love. I ignored it. She texted me on Dad's phone, telling me I should be surrounded by happy family memories, which is why she made the album. I sent a photo of my room, which has photos of my mom, ones I got copies of. That was the only reply I made. But I got several more texts, some from an unknown number, after I blocked Dad, saying that I was acting spitefully. Am I the idiot for throwing a gift from my dad's wife in the trash? Just filing this photo album in the same place you put the ones of my mom. #trashbin. Not the idiot. Your dad and his wife completely disrespected your grieving process and the memory of your mom. They forced their new life on you without considering your feelings. You have every right to be upset. You did what felt right to you. Stay strong and focus on your future. You're better off away from that toxic environment. Honestly, after everything your dad and his wife put you through, it's completely understandable that you wouldn't want that photo album. They erased your mom's memory and then tried to replace it with their own narrative. That's not okay, and it's really dismissive of your feelings. You've been through a lot, and you're not obligated to keep something that represents a painful time in your life. Moving out and focusing on your future sounds like the best thing for you right now. Keep those memories of your mom close. Those are the ones that matter. As a dad, I can't even imagine this level of insensitivity towards a tween child who lost his mother so suddenly. I don't know how someone can just move on so quickly, get married, and pretend like nothing happened, especially since the wife died in a freak accident. It's not like she was dying for months or years, and he was already letting her go. It's madness. I hope the coming years are filled with happiness. Best of luck. My middle son, Alex, is a tween. He was a total mama's boy until he started school, when he swung hard into being a daddy's boy. My ex and I divorced around that time. At least around me, my kids are not particularly modest. We're just 4 dudes who like being cold. Last week, Alex broke his leg after slipping on the stairs. He was with me that week, and I had to help him get into the bath, wash him. I'm afraid he'll fall trying to wash on 1 foot, and help him dress, just faster if I do it. My kids went to their mom yesterday, and she called me saying that Alex cussed her out. Alex is the sweetest kid in the world. He can get emotional, but not angry emotional. I asked what happened, and she casually mentioned she would help him take a bath, and he told her to get the heck out of the bathroom. I asked if he was naked, and she said obviously, and he was fighting with her about helping him. I said, you messed up. He doesn't want you in the bathroom when he's in the tub naked, let alone you trying to help him. I said, I bet you didn't even knock when you went in the bathroom. She said, oh, so it's my fault? I said, yes, it's your fault. He's a tween, not 4. You were quite thoughtless. If he were a girl, I'd ask what she was comfortable with and not barge in. She told me she thinks he should have no Xbox for a week, and since it would overlap with my time, she wanted my cooperation. I said no. If anything, you should apologize to him and acknowledge that you messed up. Then he'll apologize for cussing, cry, and never do it again. She says she can't believe my stance. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. It sounds like he asked nicely first, and when she wouldn't leave, he resorted to cussing her out. A talk about using foul language is warranted, but he shouldn't be punished for standing his ground and asking for privacy. If you approach a vulnerable dog, he will growl, and if you keep approaching, he'll probably bite you. I'm not comparing your son to a dog. Still, he was most likely feeling more vulnerable than usual, and with a cast on his leg, he couldn't exactly reach for a towel or anything to cover himself. He lashed out as aggressively as he could to get his wishes met. The child in question cannot safely bathe on his own. OP made that clear, and then says the kid could have just taken bird baths for several days, but the child was already trying to take a bath. If mom had not gone into the bathroom and said child fell and exacerbated the injury, or broke his other leg, then OP would be on here talking about how neglectful his ex is. These comments are wild. If this was a young girl, there would be an angry mob. My youngest is his age, and I have all boys. I would never barge in. Yes, he should not have used that language, but she would not listen to him. She kept forcing herself on him. She should have respected his privacy. Yes, have a talk about how he spoke to his mother, but anything more would be ridiculous. Not the idiot. I can't get over how hypothetical these comments are. Children deserve privacy. I just could not imagine speaking to my parents like this ever, but especially not at his age. This is 1,000,000% learns from his father. You are the idiot, OP. Your son not only freely used swear words, but even cussed his mother out. In my household, that would get the Xbox taken away a lot longer than a week. That severely supersedes the bathroom issue, and a tween is still very much a child. His mother's assumption that she would help him dress and bathe is not a crazy one. Exactly how did you think he would manage that at her house when he couldn't at yours? I used to be the fat, funny guy in my group of friends from university. I played sports and worked out, but I just loved food and drinking, so I had quite a lot of fat on me, and as such, wasn't the most attractive guy. There was this one girl in our group who was notorious for sleeping with everyone. It didn't matter if they were in a relationship. She worked her way through most of the guys in the group, except me, of course. In my younger brain at the time, I became infatuated with her and thought I was in love, but I was also hurt that she was attracted to everyone but me. She made it quite clear that she was not attracted to me in the slightest, almost always verbally in front of the group, and in essence, I was her punching bag. Our group drifted apart after university, but we'd usually meet up a couple of times a year, more often for those who lived nearer. My work allowed me to work abroad for 3 years, so I took it. I'd be in the middle of nowhere, so it would be impossible to order takeaways, and I could use it as an opportunity to work on myself. I was flown back every couple of months to visit family, but didn't really meet up with the group that much. I recently returned, and I'm a changed person. I lost a bunch of weight and had a wonderful time. We met up as a group a couple of weekends back, and most of the group didn't recognize me at all. We were drinking long into the night before she approached me, telling me how amazing I looked and how I'd changed so much. It was clear she was coming on to me, but I just felt disgust at the way she treated me. She had no obligation to be intimate with me, but it didn't mean she had to bully me so much because I thought I was in love with her. I calmly told her that I wasn't interested in going on the village bicycle and that I wanted to hang out with other people. I didn't see her for the rest of the night. The following day, there was a huge row, as some of the girls had found her drinking very heavily and crying alone. She'd been upset by what I said, but it seemed it was the catalyst as her life wasn't going great, and I had pushed her over the edge. One of the girls took her home, and there was quite a bit of tension over the weekend. The guys mostly thought it was hilarious that I'd stood up for myself and improved my life, whereas the girls thought I was a pig and shouldn't kick someone who was down. You are the idiot. Dude, you showed no class and the maturity of a small child. The best revenge is living your best life, not making others feel pain. You could have simply let her know you weren't interested in anything other than hanging out and had a great night with your friends. You're not really a changed person if you're holding on to the feelings of being bullied and using that to hurt someone many years later. The village bicycle comment was unnecessary. Exactly. OP was fine with riding the village bicycle. OP was a little obsessed with it, in fact. OP, understandably, harbors resentment for how she treated him, which is what he should have said to her. Instead, he insults her promiscuity because it's easy to imply a woman is worthless if she has intimacy with multiple men. Obviously, she bullied him, and she seemingly chronically acts upon low self-worth, which is probably why her life is a hot mess at the moment. She deserves little sympathy. All these be the bigger person comments are silly. Why couldn't she have been the bigger person and privately told him she wasn't interested in the past? She hurt you on purpose numerous times and went out of her way to make you the butt of her jokes. So you owe her nothing. She showed you no respect. So why should you show her respect now simply because she's decided you're now good enough for her? Strong, not the idiot. And I would strongly suggest to everyone who actually thinks you are the idiot that you need to reread what OP wrote. Yes, he was blunt, but she's been blunt for years beforehand. Now he draws a boundary after having worked on himself, and some of you feel the need to vilify OP? Good for you, OP. Keep on keeping on. My 29 male boys and I are attending a college football game this fall. There are 6 of us going, and it's proving to be an expensive trip. This is a 4-day, 3-night trip. Tickets, lodging, tailgates, flights, and funds for bar hopping are some of our expenses. Going to an SEC game costs a lot of money. We've all locked in nearly everything. This has been planned since the schedules were finalized earlier this year. My wife is 3 months pregnant, and now that we have a child on the way, money's become a concern for her. Her being pregnant is a bit of a surprise, but not shocking. We weren't using protection and took an approach of, if it happens, it happens. I feel comfortable with our finances, she doesn't. She's brought up remodeling a bedroom, hospital bills, and numerous other baby-related costs. She's right, it is expensive, but I'm fine with where we are financially. She's asked me to cancel my trip. I've told her I won't do that. She was supposed to go to Taylor Swift in London in a few weeks, but she canceled that trip to save money. I didn't ask her to do that and encouraged her to still go. She's angry that I won't cancel the trip and that I won't sacrifice for our family. We've had several arguments about this. She will be 6 months pregnant, so there's no concern about me missing the birth. At times, the tension and stress are a lot. The last thing I want to do is stress her out, but am I the idiot? Edit. She makes $70K and I make $100K. We keep our day-to-day accounts bare bones, with $15K in the money market accessible if needed. We have a $300K mortgage. 1 car is paid off, and 1 car has a $20K loan. We have 6-figure retirement accounts. She feels uncomfortable where we're at. I don't. It's mostly a difference of opinion. She gets 6 weeks paid off but can take 6 weeks more unpaid or utilize vacation time. You are the idiot. This would make me very nervous too right before birth. Make a compromise to give her peace of mind. Work to double that cash and savings by the time you leave, and maybe cut down on the bar hopping expenses. Show that you take her concerns seriously. $15K can go very fast when the baby prep is happening. I'm just praying that they have health insurance. If not, they aren't as set as he thinks they are. You are the idiot. No, she didn't have to cancel her trip. She did so because she's being a responsible adult preparing for children. That's a good thing for her because it looks like she'll soon have 2 petulant little kids to deal with. Only in this thread. Okay, you're more than set than 90% of people having kids, but what if you suddenly have a $30K expense that you have to pay cash for? Like Jesus, I wish I was as flush with cash as OP and his wife when I had my kids, but we did pretty okay somehow on a pittance of half that amount. Right? I mean, don't spend your money on the baby wipes warmer and just use cloths. Kids add cost to your life, but it does not have to be the insane cost people think it is. He said remodeling a bedroom? Buy a used dresser that also serves as a changing table and a pack and play. Paint the walls and the remodel is done. Not the idiot, but financial stress is one of the primary causes of divorce. So you guys need to get on the same page. Even if you are perfectly fine, if she doesn't feel like you're fine, it will hurt your marriage. My sister and I are complete opposites. My sister doesn't have many accomplishments, and the last thing I remember her achieving is graduating high school. At 20, she dropped out of college because she was pregnant. She moved in with the father, and for 10 years they were a family. All that time she didn't have a job, even when her son started school. Those two never married, and he left her about 2 years ago. She's now pregnant again. The new dad isn't involved, works at fast food, and barely scrapes by. She's constantly asking for money. She wanted to move in with me and my kids. My wife travels a lot. I have 2 daughters, and my sister told me she wanted to be closer. She wanted to move into my house, saying that it would be good for the girls to have a woman they could look up to. She never liked that my wife traveled. She's brought it up before, and I've turned her down politely many times. My sister brought it up again last night. I told her no. This resulted in a heated conversation, and she asked why. I decided to be honest and told her that she wasn't the type of woman I wanted my kids to look up to. I also listed the reasons above. She called me an idiot. The family's now on my case about saying this, saying I was heartless to tell her that. They also want me to apologize. Am I the idiot? I completely understand and sympathize with your feelings on this, but gently, you are the idiot. As a stay-at-home mom, I can't blame her for also being one, but not getting married to the dude and staying committed is the tough part. I don't know what the circumstances of her relationship were, because 10 years is a while, so something must have gone down. If I got a divorce suddenly for whatever reason, which at this point would only be physical abuse or infidelity, then I would work whatever job I could to stay afloat with my kid. If that's fast food, then so be it. And the circumstances regarding her new pregnancy are also unknown. But it doesn't matter. I personally wouldn't want my siblings to be living with me either. But if they were at the same point your sister is in her life, and I had the room, I would at least consider it and be gentle about how it's discussed. I'm sure your sister meant well by what she said, and I think it means you said what you said because of her. She's also being a good mom and making sure her kids have a roof over their heads and are fed. And that's all a single mom can ask for. Can you blame her? Not the idiot. I'm surprised no one acknowledges that she said your kids need someone to look up to when your wife is in the picture. She can't disrespect your wife and expect her feelings to be coddled. You've said no before, and she was pushing for a response. People need to be responsible for their life decisions, and you shouldn't be on the hook to house her and take care of her kids.